Joining me is Darren Clark, who runs that Action for Alice page. Darren Clark, thank you so much for joining me. I go through your Facebook page, and the last post that I see is dated February 11. What's happened in the couple of weeks since?
I've got a ban, Andrew. I've got a 7-day ban on the 11th. So that was meant to end Saturday just gone, late afternoon. Last Thursday, I received notification that I would get a 29-day ban for a video that I had pinned to the top of the page that was put up there 2 weeks earlier. Then they apologised that night, last Thursday, and they reinstated the video. After that, the next day on the Friday afternoon, another notification that there was another breach with that same video, and they took it down and gave me a 29-day ban. So I've been locked out since.
That's just incredible. The video being what?
It was actually the night that the alcohol bans here come into place, the Monday night, and it was in a food court in a supermarket here where all the shops were closed, and a lady had a chair, and she threw the chair in the food court, picked another chair up, ran through the crowd, and threw it out a roller door on one of the shops. There wasn't much in it, Andrew.
Now that's quite extraordinary. What do you think's going on?
I have some ideas. I don't know if they're true or not, but I think I've upset a lot of people, Andrew, and I think I've upset a lot of people up in Darwin and on the 5th floor with the government. I've probably upset a lot of people in the federal government at the moment too with the agendas that are being pushed. But at the end of the day, mate, we're running a community awareness page here. It's not just all about crime and making Indigenous people look bad. I'm raising awareness also for the young kids here, the young Indigenous kids, to actually get some help here, and the money that gets thrown around to flow to the ground and help these young kids on the ground. I'm here fighting for the men that are abusing alcohol, for them to get some help, for the Indigenous women that are victims of brutal domestic violence. I'm going into bat for them, and I'm going into bat for this community where people are being broken into, businesses are being broken into, and since it's all quieted down, it's taken off again in the last few days. And mate, we've got break-ins everywhere here at the moment. We've had car thefts. We had 9 cars taken the night before. One was driving around town with 12 youths in it. So we're back to where we were. And they can't cover it up this time, Andrew. And I'll go to other mediums. We're setting up a website this afternoon. We'll have Twitter going. We'll link up with a few of your colleagues too, and some radio stations around, personalities around the country, and we'll get some exposure with Twitter as well.
Now, they would say, Facebook would say, well, look, here you are identifying people, and maybe you're stoking tensions by showing them doing stuff. What's your answer to that?
I'm showing the truth, Andrew. I'm showing the truth. I'm showing what's going on in our town. I'm showing what's going on in the Northern Territory. Like the place was so out of control. We called a crime crisis. You know, we had the Prime Minister. We had to beg the Prime Minister to come up here. We had to beg the Chief Minister to do anything. Finally, we get $250 million on the table. Mate, that hasn't hit the ground, and it probably won't ever hit the ground. That's the problem with this whole thing. And it needs to be called out, because the $250 million will go to the NT government. And I don't think these poor kids on the ground in remote communities will actually see a cent of benefit out of this. Like usual, it's absolutely insanity what goes on here in Indigenous affairs, and it needs to be called out, and I'll continue to call it out, because Indigenous people in the Northern Territory are getting robbed, and they're getting blatantly robbed, and they've been robbed for decades.
You know, the other thing too is I don't think that 250 million would have even been promised, and the Prime Minister wouldn't have visited unless your page had existed being picked up by other media, and people did see the problem. It's not showing the problem that allows people to ignore what's really happening and the damage done particularly to Aboriginal children. I think it's disgusting. And by the way, I just want to tell people that if other towns had a similar page, we might actually see that the problem was wider than just Alice Springs. I noticed just before you were shut down, you showed video of 4 cars in Katherine being burned.
Yeah, well, Katherine, the night before last, Andrew, they ramroded the shopping centre there with a car. So Katherine is really out of control with youth crime at the moment. It's out of control with our problem drinkers. A lot of them have moved there. They've moved to Mount Isa. They're into the suburbs of Darwin. Like it's landed on the NT government right on their lap. It's landed in Darwin. It's in the suburbs of Darwin. People up there are crying out for help. People are sending me messages now. Mate, when are you back online? We need to show you the stuff that's going on in Darwin. So you look at Cairns, you look at Townsville, you look at Port Hedland. You know, the Prime Minister's in Port Hedland today. Did he go and have a look around there? Did he go and visit the people on the streets in Port Hedland? Did he ask them what's going on there with the youth crime? Did he ask how the little kids are going in remote communities around Port Hedland? Did he talk to the people on the ground? Because he didn't talk to the people on the ground here, mate. They call whoever they want, their little clan, in a boardroom similar to this, and they have a little chat, and no one else gets a say. The poor little kids don't get a say. The Indigenous people that are walking around the streets of Alice Springs don't get a say. The victims of crime here in Alice Springs don't get a say. It's just outrageous what goes on, and it's going on in the whole of North Australia. And it's got to be stopped. And this government and the Prime Minister and the Indigenous Affairs Minister, they need to wake up. And they need to wake up quick, because people have had we've had a gutful. We've had a gutful.
Well, someone thought that the better answer was to shut you up, and so we don't even know what's going on. There you go. Darren Clarke, thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it.
Good on you, Andrew. Thank you.